Live from Toronto to the world.
Josh!
This is Josh Holiday Live. Talk that rocks.
The public needs to be informed.
Josh might surprise us.
Got an opinion? Dial 647-6YO-JOSH.
When you hear him, you're like, what?
Josh Holiday Live starts now.
Hello? It is another episode of Josh Holiday Live. We're live, if you're listening right now, between 8 and 10 p.m. on Friday, August 23rd, Eastern Standard Time. If you're hearing this at another time, you're listening to a recording of a live show. I don't know why I feel like I have to explain that at the beginning of every show. I think it's just sort of to warm up everything.
It's confusing. It can be confusing.
You want people to have a clear understanding of what's going on in their lives and on the show.
It's like Westworld. Did you see that?
I love Westworld.
Is this now? People want to know.
Yeah.
Is it now?
Is it now? Is it happening? What part of the time line are we on?
Exactly.
That is the voice of John Mitchell, Toronto comedy actor, director, man about town. What's a gadabout? I wanted to say gadabout, but I don't know what that is.
I don't know. It doesn't sound great. I think it's an archaic expression, isn't it? A gadabout is sort of maybe from the 20s or 30s or something.
Is a gadabout? I thought it would be like a positive, like, oh, he's a gadabout.
Oh, maybe. For some reason,
a gadabout is a
ne'er-do-well.
No, it's a habitual pleasure seeker.
Oh, that's not so bad.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, it may not be entirely true, or it may not be your dominant characteristic. But
I try not to make it a habit.
No, but everyone wants to seek some pleasure.
No, absolutely.
Why would you seek
misery?
Misery, yeah. Although I know people who do that.
Yes,
they're attracted to misery and they wallow in misery.
That's not good. No, I think there's a balance somewhere.
I've had periods of that, but
it's somewhere in the middle, I think.
Mm-hmm. So we were chatting. You live. We do this show out of a house near St. Clair and Yonge in the basement. I live 5 minutes down the road, and it's in the basement of an older lady. Who's related to me?
Is she related? Yeah, so I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's my mother.
Yeah.
But the basement doesn't get used, so I made a little studio down here, and it's 5 minutes away, so I can kind of scoot up the road. But
she was very nice. She saw me loitering outside, and she opened the door.
Yeah, I overheard that from down here. I heard her chatting with you, and then I heard, I saw you out through the window hanging around.
She's on it.
Yeah, she's definitely. Now you're in a similar situation where your mother or your parents live within a pretty close proximity, so that you.
Yeah, they have constant access. No, my father's passed in 2016.
Okay. Yeah.
And my mom is she's not too far away. She's Eglinton and Mount Pleasant area.
Yeah.
In a condo. And not far, so I see her, at least once a week, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Talked to her today. Talked to her on the way here. Actually.
Oh, you did? Maybe she'll call the show.
Maybe she will.
647-6YO-JOSH is the telephone number, and that's a local Toronto call. But I'm sure if you're in Canada, it's not unless you have a terrible cell phone plan, it's probably a free call for you. And but we are chatting a little bit before this where. Because I'm so close, I'm sort of on call for any kind of thing that needs doing, but most of it is technical help with Netflix or an iPad or an iPhone or the cable.
I feel you completely. That's one of my key roles with my mom.
Tech support.
I had to sort out her Netflix recently. Because, yeah. She, for some reason, this is like a really interesting story, but my older sister, when I was away for a portion of the summer, my older sister was sort of taking over primary care of my mom. and she thought my mom was paying too much for internet, so she canceled her internet.
Oh, no.
She didn't read the bill correctly, like her heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, when I got back, it's like I have to deal with it. Well, I don't have Netflix, and she was not happy about that.
Yeah.
So I had to sort her out, and I spent many hours talking to Bell to kind of figure out, get her back up and running, and that, well, we don't offer the same deal we did before, and so I had to kind of, it's like negotiate new deals. And so the good news is she's got her Netflix back.
But I think if you come from a point of canceling a service outright, it's a little bit easier to negotiate rather than well, I'm going to leave you guys if you don't offer me a good deal. You're like, look, I'm leaving you. I'll go to another company if you don't pony up a nice deal.
Yeah, I did make it clear. I said, listen, if she doesn't have at least like the same savings she had before, she won't be happy, and she'll want to go to a different service because she kind of like. And I explained to her, it's like, you still have it on your computer, but she doesn't want to watch it on her computer. She wants it on her television, what she's used to. So
that's
Can you relate to some of this, Josh?
Well, I think, I can't see my mother doesn't do the watching Netflix on the computer. It's all on the TV. Even that's sort of tricky, and a lot of times it's just email minutia where I thought I sent something, or this isn't sending, or and so in some ways I'm sort of, even though my sister and I are on Facebook and Instagram, and I think it'd be nice for her to see pictures and stuff. I just it's too much. It's too much. So we just send, if we're gonna let her see pictures of either my dog or my sister's kids, it's just sent via text. She's all right with the text messages. She's
that's
on
good.
That. Yeah.
No, that's good. No, my mom's she's sort of similar. Whenever she says the computer's not working, it means she can't get onto her email.
Yes.
I realized.
Yeah, that's right.
The computer's broken. It's not working. It's like, oh, you can't get onto your email. So, but she's very kind of basic in what she does, which is fine. I mean, I think a lot of the older generation are like that. And I know she recently, was talking about getting a smartphone.
Oh.
And saying, I want apps. And her kids were like, what apps do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
And so I gave her, I have a really basic Android. So I was like, okay, well, Mom, see if you can figure this out. And it didn't really go anywhere. So I kind of think she wants Uber. That's her big thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she wants access to Uber.
I guess you sort of need the Uber app for that.
Yeah, you do. But I just think it would be more trouble for her than it's worth. And I'd be getting a lot of calls sort of saying, how do I make this work? And, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's too much.
Which is okay. It's okay, but
I wonder. I always wonder. Like I used to think when I was younger that I'm gonna be the cool older guy when I'm older. I'll still be listening to like the contemporary music and rock and stuff. And now sometimes I feel that I do hear some of the music that kids are listening to today. I sound like such an old man,
right?
And I'm like, this is shit. And I wonder, is that the same situation? Because I still do like some new artists that are in more of kind of an indie or certain genres, but a lot of the pop stuff is just like is pretty much garbage. And so I wonder, am I the same as the old people were when I was young, or
maybe it's a good question. I feel the same way. I kind of thought like I'm open to anything. And mainly, you hear a lot of people. It's like, I don't like that certain whatever type of picture, type of music. I don't like that. And I think, well, no, maybe I just don't know it. I don't understand it. And what I need is like a guide, somebody to sort of say, this is what you need to listen to, and then you'll get it. And I kind of feel like if I had that person to help me kind of find a way into certain things. But I kind of agree. Like, some of what I hear anyway, just like it doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
It's a little overproduced or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, it's a little different.
Or it just feels a little too simplistic or it's kind of like just someone who's not necessarily a great singer who's been thrown together with some producers. And
the auto-tune thing I think is big with people as well.
Although I would never diss, do you believe in love over love?
No.
I'm not embarrassed to say I have that on my...
Because Cher can sing too.
I have that on my iPad, just not all... That's the only Cher song. But I've also, as I've gotten older, I'm less embarrassed about
Oh yeah,
like I don't
like guilty pleasure
yeah,
kind of stuff.
I'll have stuff on there that is I might not play it around friends or play it in the hockey dressing room,
Right.
But I don't care. And at the same time too, I think there's some newer popish music that maybe when I was younger I would be like, oh, that's like, you know, for girls or stupid people
Right.
or top 40, where I'm like, you know what, this sort of, it actually has like a nice sound to it.
Yeah.
The sound is good. Why should I sort of dismiss it just because of who it is or that it's from a certain genre?
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I think I personally, like, I love a good hook, like a good
Yeah.
pop hook.
Yeah.
And you don't get those quite as often. But I also think it's like music today is probably similar to the way it's always been, where you maybe the stuff that's top 40 or the most popular stuff isn't necessarily the most interesting or
Well, that's
not necessarily.
I think
anyway.
that's a general thing with culture. Is generally the stuff that is the most popular is not necessarily the most interesting or the
No.
or I mean, it's hard. Everything's kind of art, and it's hard to sort of judge. But the stuff that's award winning and is considered, critically acclaimed, a lot of times doesn't necessarily find itself at the top of the pop charts.
No, you have to dig a little bit sometimes to find what you like. And no, for sure. I read a really interesting book not that long ago called "Our Band Can Be Your Life," and it's
Okay.
about indie music in the '80s. Because you think the '80s are, seem to be popular. There's a lot of
Yeah.
'80s references and '80s songs, and commercially, some of it's fun. It's totally fun, but it's not always like the stuff that you hear that's being brought back is not always the most interesting music from that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is about the underground scene. It was that kind of do-it-yourself scene, and it's where like all these bands that were influenced by punk music in the 70s, and they picked up guitars and they formed this whole kind of underground network. So like on the top end of that would be REM.
Yeah.
But REM got a record deal. So this is profiling bands that didn't get the big record deal but were really popular underground artists.
Okay.
And it was really fascinating. And it's kind of how it led to what became Sub Pop, which led to, Nirvana.
The grunge movement.
The grunge movement and Nirvana knocking Michael Jackson off the charts, like number one
Yeah.
on the charts with Smells Like Teen Spirit. Anyway, it was a whole world that I really didn't know a lot about, but it's like it just shows you also, it's like there's always something interesting going on in every era, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to maybe dig a little to
In
find
the
it.
shadows.
Yeah, totally.
Chuck Klosterman. Do you know him?
I don't
He,
think so.
Well, he's written some fiction, but most of his work has been nonfiction, and a lot of it is pop culture writing. But he does it in a really generally clever and well written way. And he picks interesting topics and has good angles on them. Sometimes it's sports. He's a sports fan, but a lot of it is music. I think that was sort of his early work was as a music journalist, and he has a bunch of books out, but I believe he has a new one coming out very, very soon, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool.
But he explores stuff like that where he goes and looks at stuff that wasn't necessarily huge and explores the hidden stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in the do-it-yourself aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like I think it's something that's like in my own life I've used that idea that you learn by doing kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's not, it doesn't have to be this big mysterious thing that you can make music and you can make art and you can make film and you can do these things. They might not reach a wide audience, but you can kind of figure it out enough to get stuff made.
Yeah. Like this show.
This show. Yeah, absolutely.
We're just doing it. It doesn't matter. It was speaking of segues, and it was National Radio Day earlier this week, and I think it's one of those things where I guess an industry can kind of like self-congratulate or
right,
and a lot of the people who do radio would post all the places they worked and what's great about radio, but I feel sometimes kind of like radio is a bit of a bummer sometimes because it's sort of it doesn't seem to be, when you look at commercial radio, it doesn't seem to really be evolving as quickly as it could and as it should. but that's a whole other story.
Well, that's interesting. I'm interested because you were a radio
I've done
personality.
I've
and
done
that's when I first met you. I think
Was it then? Yeah,
in the
'cause
'90s. Yeah,
I was trying to figure that out earlier today because Sandy Jobin Bev was on here a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about the Second City Master class, the last one before they moved everything in a new building and before they set up a whole different system to make more money.
Yeah, right. We were right. Yes, we were right on the cusp of that.
Cusp. And so that feels like the era where I knew you best, but then we'd run into each other all the time at Fringe Fest and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, masterclass, absolutely. It was a great class. I heard you talking. I listened to the interview with Kylie and Sandy. But no, was it CFNY?
Yeah, I was working at the Edge for a number of years in different capacities, and
you were doing entertainment reporting.
That's right. Yeah, because I would have you and Brock, or you and Brock. I was going to say you and John. Your musical comedy duo, Brock and John.
That's right.
You would come on the show and do some plugging and stuff.
Yeah, we came on. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, we were plugging something like our CD or video or something. And I remember Lisa Loeb was on.
The same
going
day?
Back to, yes, was on the same show. And so we were kind of waiting for her to finish. And then
come on, Lisa Loeb.
Come on, hurry up. Take those. Yeah, those, you and your horn-rimmed glasses.
Yes.
So anyway, but we didn't really know each other. They just we sort of said hello.
Knew each other a little bit through there. And then
and there was masterclass.
I was doing entertainment, like comedy and anything because the show was hosted by Kim Hughes, who her bailiwick was music, and she did a great job of capturing the Toronto music scene, international music scene, and I picked up around the edges where it's film, TV, comedy,
right.
And then I left there for a while, and then I came back just as a regular old host on the radio. It's funny, we were just talking about. Well, I say we were just talking about on Facebook. There was a conversation. There was no actual talking about, but
it feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, someone had posted pictures. There was one day when they had the studio at Bloor and Bathurst, a storefront studio there.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, there was one day where I think I had Adam McGoyan come into the studio, the film director, Canadian film director, but the same night. Ramones were there, 9 Inch Nails.
It's pretty cool.
And the band Live, who at the time, now you say Live and people are like, what? But they were at that time they were huge. So
big band,
all three of those bands in a I think the show might have been 2 hours at that point, maybe I can't, or maybe it was an hour, but whatever it was crammed in there.
That's pretty good. Well, the Ramones are a big influence on a lot of bands, for sure. And Nine Inch Nails.
Trent Reznor, in that era as well. So
that's pretty cool. The 90s were good. Yeah, they were good times.
Yeah. Now though,
but you were talking about radio, so you're saying radio it's even though it's a National Radio Day, International Radio Day.
I think they say National Radio Day. So I
what
don't know.
Nation is it? Just Canada?
Well, I think it's like that feels like it's a U.S. kind of thing, but we've sort of tagged along, and it's like national, or it's sort of it covers us.
But what do you? So what would you like it to be? I guess.
Well, I guess what I see is happening is it's selfish too, because I'm like I hear hosts and I'm like, really.
Sure.
And it can be a frustrating industry sometimes, because I've filled in here and there and felt the work was good, but then it just nothing happens after.
Right.
But just in terms of general radio, though, I find music radio is at a tricky place in that there's so many streaming services available, commercial free.
Yep.
And now people are in Canada are having access to a lot better data plans, unlimited data in some cases. So that makes in-car listening much more feasible for people. And the choice between what they listen to may not necessarily be actual terrestrial radio. And to combat that is to get personalities that are compelling and you know, something that you might not get in just a strictly streaming service. But there, I find now there's, you know, you look at Toronto and there's probably 4 stations that kind of are all in the same general area of adult contemporary, like hot AC, pop. Like there's a bunch of them in that same realm. And I think what you're going to find eventually on FM radio is something that can't be reproduced. Well, it can be reproduced online, but the live aspect of it, not so much, is talk radio. And there's some great stations in the U.S. that aren't necessarily just news talk radio, like, oh, let's talk about Pierre Trudeau did this today. What do you guys think? Give us a call. But a little bit more like this. I've sort of tried to model this a little bit after some of those FM talk stations in the States, where
cool.
just talk about whatever happens to be happening. And
I think you're right. It's probably paralleling a little bit what's happening in television too, right? Like it's like that a la carte listening and a la carte viewing where people can just pick what they want. And we're from, I guess, like a generation that, where you turn on the television or the radio and it's like, hey, like, what do you got for me? And you're kind of, and there is a pleasure too sometimes where it's like, oh, this is great. I didn't know this was coming on. Where I think, the younger generation are used to just kind of programming their own fun and kind of.
Well, and I think part of that too you're seeing now is on the content side of that, audio content anyway, is podcasts. And I know a lot of the broadcasting companies are trying to really quickly jump on that. But doing it in the podcasting realm where it's put out as a digital product. But I think I would like to see more talk radio on FM and not necessarily dedicated to specifically news talk, but just fun guy, talk about whatever. Talk about girls or sports,
or like
fun or hanging
like a Bill
out.
Maher kind of sort of thing, like a sort of lively political.
It doesn't even. It could be anything really. It doesn't have to be political. It could be
But give people a reason to.
How about them
in.
Leafs? Yeah, and call and be part of the conversation.
Yes.
Just like this show.
You all know that thing you use to send text. It works for actual mouth talking.
Josh stuff, more Josh stuff, more Josh stuff.
Get in on the conversation. Punch 647-6YO-JOSH to be heard. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.
Obviously the best Kiss song.
Very good, very intense.
You know this song, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
My sister and I, when we were kids, young kids, my dad had this record, and we would play this song all the time. It was like, I guess as a kid, it was like very appealing. Like it has a nice poppy. It's very poppy.
Absolutely. Nice message.
Tonight.
I was made for loving you.
Yeah. I'm going to give it all to you.
No.
I can't play too much of that because I think YouTube will take it down because it recognizes the song.
I know, that's interesting. That's right. You can use a fragment or something.
Yeah, before it catches on. Like I noticed I used Bruno Mars song, just coming back from one of those things, and YouTube flagged it for removal because the Warner Brothers or whoever the record, I guess it sensed that song was part of the thing, and
somebody's on it, some bot or something.
Oh, but it would definitely be a bot, where the bots are doing everything these days.
Well, there you go, Bruno Mars. There's somebody he writes writes hooky stuff.
That I would play it, but
no, don't.
The one song I like. Well, I think the funny thing is about that is the song "Locked Out of Heaven."
Which one?
Locked Out of Heaven.
Maybe.
It basically, I think part of the reason I like it is it samples, I think, from Police's "Don't Stand So Close to Me."
Yeah.
Just it samples like that part of that beat.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of the reason for me. It's like a little bit of nostalgia, but it's also such a nicely produced poppy thing. Like it just sounds sparkly and nice and
Nice,
it's candy.
They make it work. Yes,
Ear candy. I was talking about that same thing. My Coldplay. I don't like all of their catalog, but they have the one song called "Talk," and the main reason I like it is because it doesn't sample, but it uses the same. The Kraftwerk song, "Computer Love."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just because I used to love. Well, I still love Kraftwerk, but it brings back good memories for me. And
Yeah. You know, the whole sampling thing it's interesting.
yeah.
Making it work is but it's sort of like, wait a minute, you stole that, but then you turned
It's
it
funny.
into something.
Well, do you have any girl talk stuff and all?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
He's made kind of a career out of basically songs made up entirely of beats and lyrics from other songs. A lot of times he combines. A lot of times it's stuff from the 80s that's sort of like retro or on the alternative side of stuff, but then mixes it with hip hop lyrics, and it turns. But
That's cool.
He draws from all kinds of musical genres, but it's pretty cool. And I still wonder, like I haven't looked into it. I should, but I'm just so curious how, because it's put out on actual labels, like you can get it in iTunes and stuff, and I just wonder how it works in terms of royalties or credit, or because all the songs are basically, each song probably has about 10 different musical samples in it.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. There's a whole thing about mechanical rights and all that kind of, and I don't understand it. I don't. I mean, yeah, I looked into it once where it applies to if you're going to play something for like a live show or something like that, or for a play or a performance, and you want to use somebody's song, you have to pay certain rights. But sampling, I don't know. It might be a different category.
Well, because I remember, but then you hear like there's lawsuits where the Bittersweet Symphony. Remember the Verve sampled the Rolling Stones, I think, and then I think they ended up basically, even though it was a huge hit, not making any money out of it. All the money went to the Rolling Stones because they used the sample. So
right,
and that's just a single case of a single part of a song for their song, not a song entirely made up of a whole bunch of ones. So it's just,
having 10 references.
how do you break that down? Yeah,
I don't know. You'd think
if you know, give us a call.
Yeah, call in
647-6 Yo Josh. Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A,
or as I used to, a lot of times, until I hear something spoken, I like a rye. I used to always think it was Ari. Chick-fil-A, I never put it together. I always thought it was Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I think I saw it written
Because the
too.
sign, Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
And then finally I realized, that's the funny part. It's Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, and I still I know it's a restaurant. I know it's
Yeah.
it's a franchise.
It is, yeah. It's
I have never eaten there.
popular in the U.S.,
Yes, that I know.
but it is owned by a pretty hardcore, right-wing Christian guy. It to the point where none of the locations are open on Sundays because
Okay.
that's the Lord's Day.
Was there a same-sex marriage component?
Yeah, definitely.
to it?
Yeah. He's sort of. I believe he's contributed to causes that are, not especially friendly to the LGBTQ community,
Right.
and has faced, backlash for that. There's a lot of people who won't eat there because of that. And now there's a franchise opening in Toronto, and already, a lot of the different newspapers and online and Facebook, I've seen I'm not eating there. And I think that's valid.
Where's it opening? Do you know?
I don't know specifically where, but in our
Curious if
fair
it's like
city,
downtown core,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like outskirts. Or
it must be down. Like I think if you're going to open your first location, you want it to be in a fairly
Yeah.
interesting spot.
Yeah, it's
I had their chicken once when I was in Florida, and it was actually it is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the timing is not bad because apparently now there's sort of a rivalry, like whose sandwich is better. The Popeyes chicken sandwich, they have a new one that apparently is just as good as Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
None of it's obviously good or good for you.
I know what you mean.
But
Well, there's a Popeyes but in between where I live and where you live.
Yeah, there's a new Popeyes.
Yeah, we're recording this, a new Popeyes.
it used to be a Second Cup, now Popeyes.
This is terrible. It's like Popeyes. I don't know. And then I found out Anthony Bourdain. It was one of his guilty pleasures was go to Popeyes. But the original, I guess, in Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana. And so this is it's so pathetic, but it's like I Googled. It's like, what did he order?
Oh,
and so
yeah?
I found out what he got and went, I'm going to try that. So I went to the Popeyes and I ordered, it was like spicy chicken with like biscuits and gravy and I forget what else. And mac and cheese. It's something like that. So it's like, I'll give it a try.
Give it a shot.
It's pretty good. It was pretty
Yeah.
good, I have to say.
I passed by that quite a bit. I've been good about not going in there, but I know one of these days I'll break down like, I'll go give it a shot.
I don't eat a lot of fast food, right? It's like,
No, I'm not a fast food guy generally. Like there's a Swiss Chalet in the hood, and I don't. That's sort of, if I want something fast, that's sort of the go-to.
but Chick-fil-A was okay. It wasn't.
It was actually tasty. It was good. Like it was like they use quality ingredients. But again, it's not a place I'll frequent because I don't want to support. Give any kind of monetary support to something that's so aggressive.
No, I totally, I agree with that stand. I would have to say. I mean, it's.
I saw another story. This just reminded me, just talking about chicken and kind of bad food. KFC is bringing back a dish where it's mac and cheese, and then I think on top of that, there's going to be popcorn chicken on the top, and then more cheese.
Everything looks like a heart attack and a whatever.
Well, the funny because Patton Oswalt had a routine years ago about the sadness bowls and talking about those, and they're almost doubling down on it, and making more of these sort of just gross bowls.
Double down.
Oh yeah, the was it double down?
What was it called?
Basically, where it was like
The bread was chicken.
Yeah, the
Fried
bread
chicken?
of the sandwich was fried chicken. What was in the middle though? It was bacon, maybe.
Yeah, bacon and cheese and something.
Yeah.
It was just whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, just to play devil's advocate for a minute. I mean, a lot of these fast food places, like, I mean, I'm sure politically McDonald's probably has some,
If you go up the corporate chain, yeah.
and, the Coca-Cola and all these, just like we studied world issues probably in school
Yeah.
and these big corporations and sort of, there's part of me that wonders, it's like, yeah, I mean, people should take a stand and if they
Yeah.
feel strongly about something, but it's like, where is the line? Like what?
Well, that's true because I think if you were to vote with your wallet and be totally clean, like, you wouldn't be able to buy anything really,
Pretty much.
unless you like really, went to the stores that with the organic clothing and the like the really really grassroots stuff. But 'cause same thing, like you kind of have to pick and choose. Like I have an iPhone, and I try not to think about it, but there's probably kids who worked to make that phone, and so, and I think that's probably true of any sort of modern electronics devices. Is you're sort of contributing to that.
No, absolutely. But I guess something like that it was so in the news with the Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah, it's big, yeah.
Chick-fil-A. That it causes a reaction. And did you remember there was a place in the Junction not that long ago, and it was revealed that the owner, somebody did some digging and found out.
Oh yes,
Remember that?
Yeah,
he had given money to Faith Goldie.
Yeah,
It was very controversial.
it was a sports bar in the Junction. I actually passed by it at one point, and he even, I think, because I think people started posting on his Facebook page, like putting the link to the article where they revealed donors to Faith Goldie, who's sort of a right winger who's pretty extreme.
Pretty extreme, borderline, possibly like hardcore racist.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah. Not a nice person.
Yeah, not just a fiscal conservative sort of.
No, just like a yeah.
But I remember thinking, like, feeling torn in the sense that on one hand I thought, well, so this person made what I assume was an anonymous donation to somebody.
Yeah, don't know I think in our system it's hard to donate anonymmously.
Okay, so maybe they donated knowing that but it might come out.
Yeah, they
were outed anyway.
Yeah, they were put on a list of the top donors to Faith Goldie's campaign, and
so part of me was sort of like, that seems a little I don't know. It felt strange about that, but at the same time, I completely support the people who are like, well, then I'm not going to your bar.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know?
was like, my thought was like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and he got, I think on the Facebook, like him and his customers got kind of defensive, which I think even made it worse.
Yeah, that would make it worse.
And especially in an industry where like you're in the junction and it's,
I remember reading people
like,
saying it's like, that's my local hangout. Like they
Yeah.
were so disappointed
oh yeah.
that essentially it's like, I can't go there anymore.
Like I can see that maybe in like a suburbs or something where, but where I would say like 95 plus of your clientele would be
yeah.
like way against, not just against it, but like vehemently against it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it seems strange.
But it does seem like, yeah, we're living in times now where it's like there is a purity test that people have to pass and businesses have to pass. And I guess, you know, it's like there's a very positive
There's not as many
aspect to it.
Well, there's not as many secrets. And well, the same thing I find now with customer service and businesses. There's no room to kind of for them to act poorly, or because right away someone's putting something online and you're constantly being reviewed. So
Yes.
I found that you know, customer service is sort of, there's a bit of a Darwinism to it now too, where if you're shitty at what you do, word of mouth, it's not going to take a few years to get around that you're not really great at this.
And yet, Bell and Rogers are still in business.
Well, yeah.
No,
Then you have
I mean,
monopolies where there's not much you can
I just
do
say
about
that.
it.
I've had good experiences and I've had terrible experiences and stuff. But, but
it sometimes depends on who you get on the line.
it totally does. I discovered that years ago. It's like if you get someone who's not helping you and is being
Just
not
hang
so-
up and call back.
Just hang up and call back.
Because sometimes you get the superstars who are on the line, I think if you've worked in any place where there's a lot of people, you kind of realize that there's some people in this company that are like really hotshots. They know what they're doing, and so when you call these places, you're kind of hoping that you get connected to one of those people who are like whizzes at the system.
Yeah.
Like I have an accountant, and she does the like tax stuff throughout the most part of the year, but then during the summer helps she does computer programming and programs stuff for TurboTax.
Oh yeah.
So I love her because she's a whiz. Like she knows exactly how to manipulate it. We're in there for 40 minutes and out and always with a decent return. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Person's worth their weight in gold.
Gold, and that's what that's the odd thing is she makes me pay in actual gold coins.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's the new trend I hear.
Yeah, gold. It was, people thought it was going to be Bitcoin, but now it's gold coins.
Is it bullion?
Bullion, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even think I know what gold bullion is.
Bullion.
I picture those little cubes that you put in soup, like that you put in
Oh, yeah.
hot water to make, you know.
Yeah, but only they're made of gold.
But it's made of gold.
That could be it. I don't know. One of the you mentioned Coca-Cola earlier, and
Yes.
I thought, what a good opportunity to use my radio segue skills that have been honed over years and years of time behind a microphone to say, one of the Koch brothers died today, and
I saw
there
that.
was not a lot of sad faces for people who care about
The world.
the world. Yeah, it's sort of like a figure who's contributed a lot of the bad things in mostly in the U.S., but by default that affects the rest of the world too.
Absolutely. I saw him described as a philanthropist, and so
No, that's
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
yeah,
It
but
was all sort of shadowy, right? Like where the money, because remember it was like,
well, that's what I think. Here in Canada, I think that's why you can kind of find out who donated a campaign. Not why, but here you can. But a couple of years ago, the laws in the U.S. changed so that there's super PACs, and you can't necessarily find out where that money came from. And the Koch brothers ran a lot of those super PACs and donated to campaigns against, because they were involved in oil and gas. So
right,
they were anti-environmental.
totally right wing think tanks and all
Yeah.
of that.
And I know I think I read today that he wasn't as right wing when it came to social issues like abortion or LGBTQ rights, but and everything else, just making the world a poorer place and
Hardcore.
probably part of the reason He's underwritten a lot of the shady characters on the right, your Mitch McConnells and your Donald Trumps, and the Republican Party generally has been a major beneficiary of Coke money.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So yeah, it's
So it's a little bit like Mr. Potter, like,
One down.
or something on It's a Wonderful Life, passed away, and
one down, one to go. There's a pair.
well,
of
there'll be others, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, It's just it's hard. It's amazing. It feels like it's a race against the clock to the next. There's a year and a half. Actually, almost less than that, almost a year and a couple of months till the next U.S. election. And it feels like the Donald Trump's popularity is waning, although he still always has that 39-40% of people who are obviously insane. But it also feels like there's bad actors when it comes to gerrymandering and trying to take away the right to vote of people who typically vote Democrat, and then the Russian interference, and then the cyber interference, and the fact that a lot of the voting technology is pretty easily
hackable.
Yeah, I saw. I had meant to see it for a while because people had talked about it, but there's a Netflix documentary called The Big Hack. I watched it. I think because people had kind of like really, really given it a lot of like, oh my God, you'll be so shocked and it's crazy. You won't look at things the same way again. I didn't have that experience. I thought it was a pretty fascinating look. And if you didn't really understand the Cambridge Analytica thing and how that company used Facebook data and Facebook ads to kind of manipulate the populace, it's a really, really good and palatable way of explaining what went on, and it's got some interesting characters.
I saw the ad for
it. One of the
I wish I'd watched it before.
One of the women who works for or who worked for them, she sort of, after all this happened, she kind of let her story come out, and she was one of the major insiders there. And so it was a fascinating story. And then it also talks about just how much data Facebook and other companies have on you. How many thousands of points of information they have on what's happening in your lives. Where a lot of times, we would assume that, sometimes you'll be served ads where you're like, I was just talking about this with a friend, and you think, there's no way they would know that unless they were listening to my conversation. But he's saying that their data points are so specific, and they can, even intuit that that's something based on your interactions and stuff.
I'll have to watch it because I know my brother-in-law was talking about this about Alexa. He was saying,
yes.
it's like worry about it's like because she's listening. Alexa's listening, and I hadn't really thought about it before. And I also think that's like, well, it's probably bored out of her mind or whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Not a lot going on, but yeah, there's a lot of probably justifiable paranoia about what's being collected, and there's that. And I forget the name of it. It's not Google have distanced themselves from it, but that area in Toronto.
The Sidewalk Labs thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Where
they're talking about building this sort of like virtually run sort of city experiment.
It's interesting.
And I read a little bit. There was a Globe and Mail article about it. It was quite interesting. And it does, and then they're trying to say, no, we're just interested in urban planning, and this is just a city building thing. But other people saying, wait a minute. But they're collecting all this data, and they can, you walk into a grocery store, you pick up what you need, and you leave, and then the items are credited.
Well, I think this. I don't know if it was Amazon, but that's already sort of been experimented with in some places where they have physical stores. You go in, and you don't have to. You just grab what you want, and
and off you go.
It figures it out on the way out.
It's all like I don't know, microchipped might be the wrong.
Yeah, well,
description.
It's got something. Some kind of chip or some reader or some technology.
But I think it's more, it's like, for me, it's like, it's not that I'm worried about being tracked. It's like, it doesn't sound like that's not for me. Like, I'd rather just go to the local market and fumble for change.
Although on the other hand, sometimes I'm sort of like I feel like, if you want to like see what I'm up to or have information about me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm sort of like,
no,
I'm sort of lackadaisical about it. I'm like, no biggie. but then you see something like this, and you're like, well, I guess it is pretty invasive, and the fact that, Facebook, we're sort of their profit center, but we don't get any of the revenue from all of this data that's being sold for a lot of money.
Right. Yeah.
There's, I guess that one of the new concerns is in terms of propaganda and a lot of his politics is what they call deepfakes, where they can make it look like someone's saying something that they never would have said, or manipulating. And I found online this example of how it can be used, and it was an old Bill Hader appearance on Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And he does an impression of Tom Cruise, and he does an impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And when he goes into, he's just sitting at, just basically doing a talk show interview, and when he goes into the Tom Cruise impression, his face turns into Tom Cruise, and you would swear it's Tom Cruise's face saying those words, and then his face morphs into Arnold Schwarzenegger's face. It's really, really fascinating. I wish now I'm like I should tell you the link where it is, but
so deepfake. So meaning like he actually did a verbal impersonation of the two, and then someone applied something to make his face
just
morph
to sort of
into.
To this guy did it to sort of demonstrate the power of deepfakes.
Okay.
Was able to, but it's the transition is so seamless that and it sort of goes back to like it's really fascinating. Okay, I'm gonna kind of be slightly distracted as
no, that's okay.
Try and look up the name of it. So if people go online, they can.
I was thinking about. I mean, some of the stuff like the collecting of data. Just to go back to that, I just like in another lifetime ago, I worked in media, like media planning and media buying, and so a lot of that world is about trying to target people for figure out it's like what does who does our product appeal to, and how do we reach them? So on one level, it's sort of business as usual in a sense.
Yeah.
But there is, I guess, with all the ways that data can be collected and not knowing how it's collected, there is a kind of an understandable, I don't want to call it paranoia, is probably not the wrong word, because it's like a trepidation about that.
Well, and I imagine like since, that was probably a little bit more, you didn't have access to huge amounts of data in the way that now it's like there's.
It's more, I guess it's like not knowing, it's like, what's it being used for? Because if it's for, selling a product or something like that, I assume there are still rules and laws that govern that stuff, like what's collected and how it's used. Because in the old days, it's like you wouldn't know necessarily a person's name or anything about.
No. Now like so much demographic information.
Yeah, you'd know the buying habits of people from a certain age group, or it's like they live in a certain area, and generally it skews this way. And so it was to help, help people make more educated guesses as to how and where to advertise. But I'm probably just like
And
maybe I was a dupe back then.
I was a dupe. I think if you watch this documentary, The Big Hack, you'll sort of see, like I think he talks about how they have 5,000 sort of data points on most people, which seems like an incredible amount. And you see how politically that information is manipulated. Because this Cambridge Analytica. It wasn't just the U.S. elections. They'd sort of been doing it for years for different countries, and they sort of show what they did in those countries to try and manipulate the populations based on
right.
Demographics and those types of things. Okay, I'm going to show you this.
Sure.
People will be able to hear it but not see it, but I want you to sort of see the example of this.
Okay.
This Tom Cruise thing. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see.
It seemed like every movie I saw in the last several months, you were in it. And good for you. That's
thanks, buddy. Thanks.
And I was wondering about the Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, Tropic Thunder.
Where Tom Cruise. You're working with Tom Cruise. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. Like, we got to dance together. That was amazing. We had like, when you do a movie, you do table reads, where like all the actors get together.
Or at the beginning of the
At the
production?
beginning, before anything, you get together and you read through the script. And so it's like, all these heavyweights, like, Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., everybody. And then at the end is like me, like, like, hey, just happy to be here, guys. And some other supporting guys. And then Tom Cruise walks in.
My God.
And even those guys are like, whoa, and he's super stoked to be there. Just like, yeah, oh, boom. He's like,
Wow.
he's just immediately excited when he walks into a room. And so he comes over and he sits next to me, and I think he had been briefed on some of the supporting guys, but he was like trying to place me, So he sat down next to me, and he's like, I love your work. And I went, oh, thanks. I love your work too, Tom Cruise. Thanks.
That's wild.
Yeah, you see, so
It's more subtle than I was anticipating.
yeah, no,
actually.
exactly. It's not like it's just like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think I think the thing with that one especially is I think Hader sort of has like
Tom Cruise eyes.
He's got a little bit of a top, like it's not that far off.
No.
Like it doesn't. When you think Bill Hader, you don't necessarily think Tom Cruise, but it's not that far off in terms of face stuff. But it's just like,
No, it's
so if you want to find out, there's a YouTube channel that does a bunch of stuff like that. There's another one where he does Arnold Schwarzenegger. That one's from Conan. But Control Shift Face is the YouTube account, or you can just do Bill Hader deep fake Tom Cruise, and that will come up. But yeah, it's crazy.
wild. Yeah, that is. That's totally wild.
And so now they're everyone's concerned, rightly so, that can be manipulated. So you can basically make anyone say anything, and people are pretty gullible sometimes. So
Oh gosh, sometimes
if that's weaponized, right? If you have someone who can do it, there's so many people can do an impression of different politicians and stuff. So if you can get them, them saying those things, and you can, it's
well, I
frightening.
mean, we're already living in that world, whatever they call the post-truth world, which is really terrifying to me. That it's like you don't even have to fake someone's face to say, you could just. I heard. Like all the stuff about Hillary Clinton. If you go back to the previous election,
she's sick, she's dying.
Well, she was running a prostitution ring, or what was that thing? There was just the most ridiculous, absurd rumors, and there are people out there that believe it. So there are a lot of crazy people out there. So anyhow, it's just another tool, I guess. If they use that, as you say, to weaponize it. It would be just another tool to convince people. Look, see,
Yeah, it's
It was on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. It must be true.
It must be true.
I'm going to do this. I did this earlier, and I thought I would ask you to take this quiz on the Washington Post.
Okay. Should we ask your mom to call in? By the way,
We should just call her.
Okay. I can call my mom.
All right. Now this is a quiz that the Washington Post put out on. It was titled, "Do you know how to tip in America? Take this quiz to test your knowledge." So I did this quiz,
Okay.
and I got one wrong out of the whole thing. It's not an especially hard quiz, but it's just about tipping and stuff. So I'm going to ask you the question,
Okay.
and I think mostly true and false.
Okay.
Is it true that you're never fully dressed without cash?
Wow, that's an odd. It's not even a real question. You're never fully dressed without cash. I'll say yes, it's true.
Yes, because you need to have, if you're going to do tipping and stuff, you need to have some bills.
You gotta have some cash. Yeah, a lot of people I know don't carry cash at all.
No, I'm pretty cashless too, and I thought about it recently. Imagine for the panhandling population, that's become a bit of an issue.
Yes.
You take a complimentary shuttle from the rental car lot to your terminal, and the driver unloads your bag from the bus to the curb. Do you tip?
Yes, I would say so.
Yes. Yes.
If they're handling,
correct.
Yeah, if they're handling your bags.
When someone touches your bag, you tip. $1 per bag is what's recommended unless it's heavy. And then it's $2 per bag. If the driver just drops you off and you handle your bags yourself, no need for gratuity.
Right. What if you
They
wrestle
say.
the bags out of his hand and just say, "No, thanks, I got it.
Yeah,
No,
hey,
really, I got it.
Dude, let go of my bag.
I'm not fully dressed. I don't have any cash."
You're on an airplane and the flight attendant serves you a drink. Do you tip?
No, I don't believe so.
Correct. It is not. Keep your singles to yourself. Most airline staff members are asked to decline tips that are offered. You opt for curbside baggage check from a third-party vendor. This is at the airport.
It's like, what is that?
I think in some U.S. airports there's companies that sort of handle
Like,
a
we'll take it
smoother
from here?
check-in and check your bags. Yeah.
Okay.
So you offer curbside baggage check from a third-party vendor. Should you tip the attendant for checking your bags?
Oh boy. I assume you would.
Okay.
But hang on. May I ask a question?
Sure. I
Do
don't
you-
necessarily know the answer.
Do you
but
pay for this third party? Like pay extra or pay outside?
I think you probably, because it's a third party vendor. That's probably how they make their money.
Because you would not tip, an airline attendant for
No.
checking your bags, and if you've already paid, I would say probably not. But then again, it's somebody handling your bag, so I might, even though I think the answer probably should be no, I'll say it's yes.
All right. You're equivocating, but
I am.
You are correct. Tip according to how many bags are handled. When they're bringing your bags from your car and they're checking them for you, $2 per bag.
Okay.
So I guess it's a service where they actually come right to your car and grab the stuff.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. That's pretty convenient.
This is if you're staying at a hotel. Should you tip only at the end of a hotel stay?
Oh, no, I don't think so. There are all kinds of opportunities where you say, "Hey, I brought you that thing
That's correct. Yeah, it's flexible. You can do it at the beginning, the end. Just make sure you have some small bills ready, and you can hand them out throughout. You arrive at your hotel. This one seems fairly obvious. You arrive at your hotel by car and leave it with the valet. Do you tip the valet attendant?
I guess you do.
Yes.
I've never heard of like valet service. I've seen it on television. I'm basing that answer on movies and television.
We've done it. I've done it like with my parents. They're a little older now. Sometimes.
Yeah.
You should absolutely tip your valet attendant, preferably when you hand them your key. I've usually done it when they bring the car back.
Right.
But this suggests
up front,
because then they'll really take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
It recommends tipping valet drivers $3 and up. For my birthday dinner, we went to a fancy restaurant the other night, and my mother has a handicap pass that she puts in her window. But where we were was an area where it was still like no parking until after 7 o'clock, and we were there at 6. And so we pulled up behind this SUV that was a Lamborghini SUV, which I later looked up. I was like, I've never seen a Lamborghini SUV. If you were to buy one, it's about $230,000.
Naturally.
And so we valeted the car, thinking it was, the restaurant valet, which it usually is. And so then on the way out, I broke a 10 at the bar, thinking I'll give this guy $5. And so I go to give him the $5, and he goes, "Oh, actually, it's $15." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Here I was expecting, like, I thought it was. I think it's
$15 for the parking or the tip?
Well, for the valet,
service.
yeah,
okay.
But I don't think he really even moved our car because the other Lamborghini was in the exact same spot it was.
Yeah,
and so probably they just pay off the parking meter guy to leave those cars alone.
But you could technically, you could have used the sticker and
just
park there.
just park. We should have done that, but. And then he didn't even have to bring the car from anywhere because it was just like a couple of feet down from the restaurant.
So it felt a little gratuitous.
Yeah, and I still did tip because then it would look weird if he's like, we charge $15 and then I don't give him any tip. But,
well, it's like a Seinfeld episode, essentially. If you'd argued with him, you would have been George Costanza or something. It's just like, I don't understand why I should tip because.
Well, and I guess I guess that's because a lot when I've done it before, usually the valets are affiliated or working for the restaurant.
Yeah.
So you don't pay them any kind of fee. It's just the restaurant. You know,
Right.
their fee is the
Yeah.
the tip.
Presumably,
But
the restaurant takes care of
I
them.
suppose this guy, or this company or whatever, just sets up in this place knowing that
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a scam.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that guy was in a valley. He was just a guy hanging out there.
Yeah, exactly. Guy in a nice
Bought
jacket.
some tickets, yeah,
Yeah.
and hung out in front of the.
Did he get into the Lamborghini afterwards and drive off?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, and the other thing, the guy who was the driver of the Lamborghini was sitting in it.
Yeah.
SUV, and it had one of those display screens, and somewhat disappointingly on the screen, like it showed what radio station you're listening to or satellite station. It was
Yeah.
like Fox News. I saw.
Oh, speaking of the Koch brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Is there more quiz?
Yeah, we're still in the quiz line. The hotel manager upgrades your hotel room to a suite.
Oh,
Do you tip her?
interesting. I imagine I would offer, but you probably don't have to.
So, what do you
Okay,
you tip her?
I'll say no.
Okay, let's see. Correct. The hotel manager tends to be a salaried employee who doesn't require a tip. A clue for who to tip and who to skip is in how the employee is dressed. I don't tip someone in a suit from behind the counter, this professional says. Generally, if a person is wearing a suit or their own clothes, I don't. But if a person is in a uniform, you generally tip them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A bellhop greets you in the hotel lobby and takes your bags upstairs to your room. Do you tip?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty.
was saying, like shove them out of the way, and of course.
You close the door quickly behind.
Yeah, exactly. I pat my pockets and go, "Oh, sorry," and slam the door.
And this one, there's shades of how much. Depends on what kind of service. Did they drop your bags and go quickly? Did they help you unpack or share details about the room and hotel?
I have that is one thing. I have no idea what the standard is, like how much you're supposed to for something like that.
Up to $10 for a tip at a luxury hotel.
Okay.
But I imagine if you're just in a regular hotel and the guy just kind of brings them, it's maybe a 2 or something.
Okay.
5
5 popped into my head for some reason. It's like,
and you don't have to use the bell people if you don't want to.
no.
You're staying at a hotel and housekeeping cleans your room daily. Do you leave a tip?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. Probably the answer is yes, and I don't know that I have.
Yes is the answer.
Yeah. I've been lax about that.
I didn't for a long time until I sort of heard someone sort of mention that. Yeah, it's sort of a thing, and then I started thinking about it, like, yeah, these people.
Yeah, that's
shitty
exactly
work for
who
low-
you should tip.
Yeah,
It should be number one on the list.
Yeah,
I hope I've left a tip, or saw someone and said, "Here,
it's a thankless job that often gets overlooked. And this, even the professional guy, he in his early traveling days, he didn't do it, and he still feels bad about it. But
yeah, now I feel deeply ashamed.
Work hard, work long hours. Now this guy recommends tipping $10 per day of your visit, but I imagine that's got to be like a upscale hotel.
I guess so.
I've kind of done it along the although I don't make much of a mess. They need to basically make the bed. But
that's
sort of
me.
done
I clean up after myself, and the guy like throws everything out. And
I've done
sure
it
it's like,
anywhere from like $2 to $5.
Okay, that's good.
Depending.
I'm also not a wealthy person. The whole tipping thing, I always feel a bit funny about.
Tip what you, yeah.
It's like,
I mean, don't,
here, my good man. Here,
yeah, no, yeah. If it's sort of, again, like it depends on the hotel. Like if you're getting a room at like a $79 place, and you just had to save up to make it, but yeah, if you can do it, do it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This is funny. We went on a this summer up to Huntsville to the Deerhurst Resort.
Yes,
and we got like a condo thing because it was my mother and I, my sister and her family came from Calgary, so her husband, and my nephews who are like 8 and 9-year-old boys. So we stayed in a 3-bedroom condo, and my sister's husband, who I don't think they really listen to the show, so
now I got to hear this. This is
John. Call the telephone line. There's someone on.
There's someone on the line.
Oh shit! Okay, I figured it out. Oops.
False alarm. Oh no.
I put the number wrong. I put 416-647-6U, Josh.
That's why no one's calling.
That's why. Well, that was just on Facebook, and someone saying, "Oh, they tried to call."
Oh. Anybody we know?
Guy he used to work with. Okay, let's see now. Maybe he'll call and let's see what happens.
Okay, sounds good.
So, but her husband is, notoriously cheap and not the
Right.
biggest tipper. So I had to do this thing where because it was the end of this day and we were leaving like a larger. It was, I think we were there for 3 days, and I think we were leaving at 20 or something. Mm-hmm. But I had to make sure that he was I was the last person out of the house because my sister was scared, and I was sort of wary that he was gonna, if he saw it, he would take it.
Oh, really?
not in a way like take it, like keep it for himself or whatever, but like, oh no, you don't.
Somebody.
leave,
okay.
Why are you leaving money behind?
Interesting.
So I was like, kind of not hit it, but sort of made it so the maid would be able to find it. But if you just walk back in, it's very,
again, it sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was sort of strange, but yeah,
that's funny.
I think there's probably a bit of a battle there because I think he's pretty frugal, and has I think it's a family thing. Sort of had grown up frugal, and as a result, sometimes she sort of has to sort of be that other part. And I know sometimes I've done this too, where as my mother's gotten older, I think they're like sometimes less like, oh, I'm to get out my little card for 15% or whatever.
Right.
Where now I sort of find for restaurant jobs, especially in the States, where in chain restaurants or whatever, the staff is paid incredibly poorly, and their wages are based on
right.
tips to a large degree. They don't get the minimum wage; they get something a lot less than that because it's expected they'll get tips.
Oh no, for sure.
So I found sometimes she'll put down a tip, and then as we're sort of leaving, she'll be walking ahead of me, and I'll sneak in an extra $1 or two.
Yeah, I've done
on the
that.
table. Yeah,
I've done that. I mean, yeah, there's nothing more awkward than being with somebody or maybe people who either don't tip or
because I feel like it reflects not just badly on them, but on
everyone
on the table. Yeah,
yeah. No, I somebody I know, I won't mention his name, but it would never tip taxi drivers. Like this is going back in the day, and sort of realized after a couple of taxi rides, we were like, I got it, where he would give the taxi driver just the fare, and that was it, and not be all that pleasant too to the driver. And it's like, so you always felt like, no, here, take, because it does. It makes you all look. It's like makes us look bad, and it's not, it's not an easy job, and
that's
people
also,
rely on tips.
That's the tricky thing too when you're eating as a group, and people are putting in especially if we're doing the bill all together and everyone's contributing.
Yeah.
There's always that one person who didn't put in a tip, and then everyone else has to do it, or like we're like, guys, we're short, and then that person's never the one to step up and say, oh, it was probably me, let me put another 10 in there.
I know.
Usually it's someone else at the table is like, we want to get out of here, I'll put $10 in.
And sometimes, not always, sometimes it's like the people who actually have money are
the most miserly.
Can
that's
be.
probably why they're wealthy. They don't spend any money.
They don't spend any money
on service.
I know.
Those jerks.
There's that other thing too, we're with a group, and I've had this, like, I've lived on a budget for most of my adult life, and it's like, okay, we're going out for dinner, and then you end up, it's like, well, let's just split it. Like we'll just split it 5 ways. And you're like, I purposefully got the salad with the whatever.
Yeah, I ordered a water. You ordered a $16 glass of wine.
Yeah, that's right.
And let's just break it up.
Let's just break it down.
I do that as a joke sometimes, like where if it's just me and a friend and they're just having a soup or something, and I'm getting like appetizers and saying, I think we just split. It's probably easy, but not in any kind of serious way.
No,
that would be bad.
That would be bad. Do you like it when they include a gratuity when places actually?
I think it's like it's a relief sometimes.
Yeah,
as long as they point it out, because sometimes it'll be included as part of an 18% gratuity is automatically added, and sometimes the server won't necessarily let you know, and for people like my mother, they might not read closely, and so you're giving an extra however much. The other thing that's kind of curious is when you're using a credit card or a debit card, and it gives you the tip options like the 15%, 18%, 20%. there's not really a standard for how restaurants use it. So sometimes they put it on the after tax, which is not how it's supposed to. It's supposed to be on the pre-tax price is where the tip is based on. So I never really use it because it's inconsistent from restaurant to restaurant.
I always use it. I always just think it's like saves me from doing the math.
Yeah.
But I'd never really thought about it. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably on the total.
Yeah, if you have a basic idea, you can probably tell.
Yeah.
Sometimes it shows you the monetary value of what each percentage is, and then you're like, yeah, that sort of makes sense based on the bill. But sometimes it's sort of mysterious.
This might interest you. So it was in Bermuda over the summer working.
Yes,
and
lovely Bermuda.
Lovely Bermuda. And I'd heard this before when I went down, that Canadians, for some reason, don't have a great reputation.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, as good tippers. Or they have a reputation for being cheap.
Yeah.
And so I talked to somebody. I was a native Bermudian guy. He was in the cast. And and he said, I don't know what it is. It's just a thing. It's a thing. So it became this thing. Like, I could tell it was a big thing with, like, who can, it's like the first round's on me, and then you better get the next round. So it was all about, like, who bought the last beer, who's buying the next one, and kind of keeping count in this way where it's just like, I just felt all this pressure to be like, okay, I have to get the last beer. I have to walk out of here one beer up on you.
Yeah, yeah. And
we ended up tied.
I'm aware of that stereotype. Like, my mother spends some time in Florida in the winter, and I'll go down and hang out sometimes. And I think because there's a lot of snowbirds there, and in her area, it tends to be a little bit more of the Republican-y type people.
Okay.
So for whatever reason, there's a reputation there that Canadians are bad tippers. And so I almost feel like
you're going to make
I
up
go
for
out
it?
of my way to try and like to make good the Canadian reputation. At least they'll be like, I'm from make it with I'm from Canada, and then that maybe they'll associate. Oh, well, wait a second, they're not all bad. This guy gave me a decent tip, because it feels like there's that pressure. And then I know there's a lot of people who are in the service industry who dread when British people come in because tipping's not a big part of that culture. So when they come here, they don't know that that's a thing that we do in North America.
I think it's a tipping thing, and some cultures too. I think it's like there's a pub culture thing where it's like, you buy everyone a round of drinks, and it's sort of reciprocated, and it's kind of, and that it's not always the way it works. At least in Toronto, it's like usually it's like, you might buy someone a beer or something like that, but it doesn't seem as codified, and maybe that's just like not knowing what the convention is.
Yeah, it's probably, I would, I don't think it's an intentional like on a cheapskate. It's just that's where they come from. But that said, if you're going to travel somewhere, sort of read up on
local customs,
on what's happening. Here's some what do we call water cooler stuff that I thought we'd chat about. Mm-hmm. When you sleep, what do you sleep mostly on? Your side, your back, your stomach?
I'm a side sleeper, I would say.
Yeah, me too. So they did a study on the different types of sleepers and how well they sleep and characteristics that are often associated with them. And this one says that back sleepers take the least amount of time to fall asleep, an average of 20 minutes, though they get the least amount of sleep a night, an average of 5.28 hours. They get about 5 nights of perfect sleep a month.
Wow.
Most likely to be an early bird, most likely to be an introvert, which is weird.
An introvert.
I imagine they must have had like a larger quiz, like based on you sleep on your back. Yeah.
Hey, loner, what are you doing on sleeping on your back?
Stomach sleepers, which when I was a kid, I was a stomach sleeper.
Hard on the back.
Hard on the back, yeah. But I would sort of like bend one knee and
right.
And I imagine probably my face was squished some way from sleeping so much on my front. And I think it's bad for babies too. Don't think
I would imagine. Oh yeah.
Stomach sleepers take even more time to fall asleep, 22 minutes. They get just slightly more than the back sleepers. They get 6 perfect nights of sleep a month. Most likely to be an early bird and night owl, which doesn't make sense. But here's a weird one. They are most likely to be an ambivert.
What is that?
Isn't that when you're ambidextrous?
Oh, an ambivert.
I think it's just the term. Ambidextrous is the actual
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
But the person who is ambidextrous
Is an ambivert.
I'm pretty sure.
I learned something
Someone,
new.
if that's incorrect, and I've done that on live radio before, where I've sometimes it's just you say something and you're not thinking about it, and you misspeak, but right away someone's on the phone like, that's not right.
That's not what it means. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Can't you get arrested for being an ambivert?
Yeah, that's right. There's an ambivert in my neighborhood, and all of the kids shun his house.
Yeah, they should.
Side sleepers. Both you and I are side sleepers, and in this study, apparently the best sleepers, although, oh shit, I didn't know this, take the most amount of time to fall asleep. 23 minutes.
I dispute that.
I dispute that too.
I fall asleep so fast.
Although I find sometimes I'll start on my back because I can kind of get in that kind of like really relaxed position. Then when I'm just about to kind of conk out, I'll shift over to my side. Well, they get the most amount of sleep per night, 5.78 hours. Get about 6 nights of perfect sleep a month. Most likely to be a night owl, yes. Are you a night owl?
I used to be.
Yeah, it's shifted. Yeah,
It's shifted. It's like, hitting midnight is harder and harder.
Yeah. Most likely to be an extrovert.
Extrovert.
Yeah, I remember, like, it's funny where as you're growing up, you hear facts and stuff, and some of them just stick with you your whole life. And I remember hearing a long time ago, and it's always stuck with me, is like the average time it takes someone to fall asleep is 7 minutes. And so it's just
I would. I mean, that's closer to my kind
that's
of
what I thought
timeline.
too. Like 20 minutes seems like a long time, but I guess
Yeah.
there must be in the study or in life a lot of like really anxious people or
I wonder, just some reading involved? Is there? I dispute these facts.
I will. Let's take it up with the high court
Yeah.
of internet studies.
Well, also the extrovert introvert thing I find interesting. It's
Yeah.
like, how does that? I don't understand that correlation. That's kind
The
of
only thing it's. I don't think it's like a cause and effect thing. I think it's probably just coincidence. The people who responded to this also had factors they say are
Right.
extrovert.
because you'd think if you're okay. Sorry, I'm just going
That's
to
okay.
go down this train of thought for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the lying on your back are the introverts, right?
Let's see here. The back sleepers are most likely to be introvert.
Now, wouldn't you? Okay, just like, whatever, dime store psychology here.
Sure.
If you were introverted, would you not be more like a fetal sleeper? Wouldn't you be like
That's
more?
what you would think.
You
Like you'd be
curl up
kinda,
and you're kind of hiding from the world,
the
and pillow over your head.
Yeah, no, you would think that, and then you think like extrovert would be like back sleepers, just wide open,
Just wide
arms
open.
spread, legs
Oh yeah,
spread,
yeah,
like
yeah. Crying over the.
come at me, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I was curious about, because there's so many strange names now. Like I not strange, but names that are new in terms of naming kids. Like, I'm trying to think of some recent examples. Like, I have someone who just joined my hockey team is a younger kid, like out of university, fairly freshly. His name is Dakota.
Okay.
And in my day, there was like, that was a very, very rare name.
I think of that as a kind of a 90s, like Dakota and
I guess
Tiffany.
my sister's son, one of them is named Hunter, which
Hunter.
is I was like, when I heard
Makes you
it, I was
cringe?
like, well, it feels so, and they live in Alberta. It feels like an Alberta name, like
Right.
Hunter.
Hunter.
Come on, Hunter.
Yeah. Get in the trunk, Hunter.
I suggested
Dakota.
that if she has another kid to name it Gatherer. So Hunter Gatherer.
That's good.
But
Hunter S. Thompson, though, so that's not.
yeah, I guess that there's that one, but just,
not a lot.
Well, and you always affiliate us, or not, or always, it's the same thing as someone who kills animals. So it's
Yeah.
it's and you sort of almost feels like you have to live up to this like macho, like I'm a hunter.
Yeah, my name's. It's true.
Yeah.
You can't be a back sleeping introvert with a name
No,
like Hunter.
no.
Hunter. You got to be like, yeah.
Hunter. You've got to be an extrovert. So I'm gonna quiz you. I won't quiz you because that'll take too long. But
Okay.
I'm gonna do the top 10 most popular girl names in 2018.
Okay.
Number 10, Evelyn.
Uh-huh.
Harper.
Should I react to these?
Maybe not so much.
Ew.
I wonder if this is like an American thing, but I wonder if in Canada, Harper is not as high on the list because of our previously
Oh, yes.
Terrible the worst prime minister in Canadian history.
Well, he was an odd one.
Yeah. Amelia.
Amelia, that's okay. My friend's daughter, who I call my niece, she just had a little girl, and her name's Amelia.
Mia. Charlotte. Sophia.
Yeah.
A little bit of Italian here. Isabella. Ava. And now we're down to number 2.
It's not bad.
Which is Olivia. And I know some Olivias who are...
I know some Olivias and some Charlottes.
Friends' kids, yeah. I think you looked at this list earlier, but I'm not sure you will remember. What do you think the number 1 most popular girl's name for 2018 was?
Wilhelmina?
Oh, so close.
I don't know.
Starts with an E.
Okay, let me guess. Did you say Emma before?
Emma's correct.
Emma's correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 1 name for girls in 2018. All right. Now we're on to the men list. There was a list of 50 in this particular thing, and you came in at number 27. John is number 27 on the list of 50. Joshua is number 41. So fastly dropping from the chart. It used to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Number 10, most popular boys' names for babies in 2018, Logan. Number 9, Mason. Number 8, Lucas.
That's okay.
Elijah.
Okay.
6, Benjamin.
Solid. Biblical. Yeah.
5, Oliver.
It's okay.
4, James.
That's my nephew's name is James.
Yeah, I think that's the test of time.
Yep.
Number 3, another one that's one of those quintessential names, William. Bill William.
That's my father, Donald William Mitchell.
Yeah, there you go. Noah is number 2.
I know a Noah.
A little bit of
my niece's son, Noah and Amelia.
Going to the religious side. A lot of these are based in religion. Now, can you guess what the number 1 boy's name is? Give you a
Jacob.
No,
that would not be number 1.
I will give you a hint. One half of a band that featured feuding brothers.
Oh, Noel?
The other one.
Shoot. Gallagher's.
Yes.
Noel and the other guy. Why can't I can't remember.
Starts with an L.
Liam.
Yes.
Liam
apparently was the most popular boy's name for 2018.
Liam. It's all right.
Yeah, I guess
it's very.
I was
Irish.
Liam Neeson. Well, I always try and think. What cultural things would stir people? Like what characters had those names in movies that were popular?
Yeah.
Like I bet you in the next couple of years you'll see more Elsas climbing that chart.
Yeah,
because of the Frozen movies.
I was wondering whether Amelia as well is like the Queen of Dragons, Emilia Clarke.
Oh, that could be
actress.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, Emilia Clarke. Yeah,
popular show.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
But some of the guys' names, I have to say, are kind of, there's some biblical references.
Yeah, they do still seem to be clinging on to a little bit more of the traditional on the boys' sides.
No hunters on that list.
No hunters. I wonder. I would have to look again. Oh, you know what? I can look right now. See in the list here. If Hunter is even there.
What's so difficult though?
Logan, Ethan, Jacob, any other? Aiden,
yeah.
Matthew. Wyatt.
Matthew's a good name.
Matthew's good, yeah.
Solid.
Wyatt, little cowboy.
Wyatt, yeah.
Grayson, that's one I haven't really seen too much.
Grayson.
Mateo. We had a neighbor's kid who was just a baby who was named Mateo. Lincoln, I guess that's maybe the movie inspired some people.
Lincoln. Don't know any. Yeah.
Caleb.
Yeah, I know Caleb.
Asher.
No
Hunter.
Interesting. Asher, I knew an Asher. Did you ever know Asher? He used to come to all kinds of Toronto theater stuff.
It might be one of those things.
I think he may have passed away.
Oh,
lovely man.
Could have been one of those ones where I would see a picture, see the face, and go, "Oh, that guy's name was Asher."
I'm sure you probably, if you were at the Fringe or doing shows.
I'm brutal with people's names.
You probably ran across him at some point because he was a big supporter of the arts. Came to everything.
Okay,
Asher.
So may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace, unless he's alive, and I'm really sorry, Asher.
Yeah,
because
Asher.
I know he was sick. That's all. I know.
Okay. jeez.
Sorry.
We'll have to research that after.
Yeah.
Here's some just basically Forbes puts out its wealthiest people, and this one is in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
They did it for comedians, highest earning stand-up comedians. Though I will say that this revenue isn't necessarily all based on actual stand-up, but
Is it like working the clubs?
well, yeah, it's not all money from clubs or concerts. I mentioned a lot of it is from television and film.
Your brand.
Number 10, Aziz Ansari made $13 million, which is good because he kind of got sucked in a little bit.
He got
to that Me Too'd.
Yeah.
But it felt like a kind of just a date that didn't go very well. And it was very sort of in that gray area.
That was my read too. And I think a lot of people, there was some sympathy for him. It just felt like a really awkward.
Just like a bad date where.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, but
it wasn't really. Yeah,
it wasn't in Kevin Spacey territory or
any of that.
Any of that.
It was just sort of. It just seemed like, they misread each other. They're
Yeah, yes.
Felt a little. Yeah.
So he's back.
Still making lots of money with puppets. Jeff Dunham, the ventriloquist. Another ventriloquist, not known as not as famous, like just in culturally, it doesn't seem. But Terry Fator. He won America's Got Talent a number of years ago as a ventriloquist, and I think he has a show in Las Vegas.
So Jeff Dunham, was he on that show as well? Or
I think he's just always...
He was an internet sensation for that.
Well, he's been around forever. He's sort of probably when you think of ventriloquist, he's the one guy who, he's
I know who he is.
Made the most out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what his origin story is, but I think he predates those talent shows because he's been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
The only female on this list is Amy Schumer, which isn't a surprise when you think about it.
No,
not saying that's a good thing necessarily, but
but she does a lot of
21 million they
films
say. Gabrielle Iglesias, stand-up comedian. Okay. Some of these are a little bit more niche-y.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who I'm surprised is not on here is Canada's comedian
Russell Peters.
Russell Peters, who is not especially like he's pretty well known in Canada and the US, but like in terms of worldwide stuff, he's pretty huge. Like he makes a shit ton of money.
Yeah, maybe he could be top 20.
Yeah, this is just top 10, so he's probably in there somewhere. Sebastian Maniscalco. He, I told this story, I think, when someone was on the show before, but basically, first time I kind of became aware of him when he was on a comedy tour that came by the Molson. Is it a Molson Center? The one down at the Ontario place.
The amphitheater.
Molson Amphitheater. Yeah. So he was on that show. John Mulaney was the headliner.
It's very funny.
And Brian Regan, who's also a really funny, energetic comedian, was there.
Yeah.
The way it was set up, because John Mulaney was the headliner, he went last, and second to last was Sebastian Maniscalco. And the audiences that those two comedians draw are pretty much at the different ends of the spectrum in terms of fans. Like John Mulaney's pretty cerebral, pretty... like it's not an energy show where he's like really bouncing off the walls. He's sort of, it's very kind of quiet but funny comedy.
Yeah, I see. He's very, very good, very smart.
And for a concert thing like this, Sebastian Maniscalco is very popular with. A lot of it's based on Italian stereotypes, and it is. He's a funny guy, no doubt. And he's an interesting person. I've heard interviews and stuff. So a lot of the audience came specifically to see Sebastian Maniscalco because I don't know that he'd come through town much before. So the audience, a lot of suburbanites and a lot of people who are sort of into that pretty straight ahead type of comedy. So it was a weird experience because a lot of the comedians on the bill earlier on weren't getting nearly as much love as they probably should have. And someone like Brian Regan who normally kills like every show. He's just such a master, especially with the physical stuff. he did just okay. And so then Sebastian Maniscalco came on, and people were going crazy. Mostly the sort of the suburbanites and the basically fans of his you know, kind of the pop comedy thing.
Yeah.
And he's a very energetic guy, very loud and raucous. And so as soon as he was done, all of the people, which probably was like 60-70% of the people who maybe 50% at least, but who came specifically to see him, started leaving the amphitheater as John Mulaney comes on to headline.
Okay.
And then even the ones who stuck around, it's sort of like going from this very sort of centrist pop humor stuff where it's like, you know, my father is this, da da da.
Yeah.
You know, to the cerebral kind of John Mulaney. It was just, I wonder if in retrospect they might have programmed it differently.
A little different. Is he a Canadian?
Mulaney?
No.
No, Maniscalco? No, he's American.
Okay.
But he is on this list. He's number 5, 26 million. And I think in this case, a lot of it would be concerts because he's certainly like kind of blown up in the last maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And gets
interesting.
He can play stadiums and stuff. He's pretty huge.
Wow.
This one was surprising. Trevor Noah at number 4, 28 million. I imagine some of that is from Daily Show, but
I guess so.
Comedy Central doesn't pay a lot. So
Right.
I think he's had some specials, and I'm sure he's done
a lot. He's done specials for
concerts and stuff.
You know, it should be surprised is not on that list is Ellen DeGeneres. I know. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead because you haven't given the top.
It may be a case of like where they don't, because she hasn't really been doing stand up lately. Like she had been sort of. I think she's going back to try it more, but I think she'd sort of.
She's just considered another category now, or something.
Yeah, maybe. Trevor Noah, I used to love the Daily Show. Mm-hmm. It was. I would tape it daily, and then you know, watch it at my leisure.
Yeah.
I now do that because it's been replaced by Seth Meyers. Because it's basically the first 10-15 minutes of Seth Meyers is what the Daily Show used to be.
Right.
It hits the political stuff in a funny way, and has the headlines. I just, for whatever reason, I haven't taken to Trevor Noah and his style of delivery or his personality. Just nothing against him, and I think it's just a taste thing where I'm not feeling it. But he's one of those guys where it doesn't feel funny to me.
Interesting. I like it. I don't watch it all the time, but I like him when I see him, and he's kind of laid back, and he's a very cerebral sort of comedy styling, and totally different from the Jon Stewart, that era. And
I do, I still sometimes will watch for the correspondence stuff because I do like the especially when it's interacting with real people. Yeah. But I get a lot of that on. Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. Yep. It's broken down into segments. Usually the third segment is a field piece, which is always entertaining.
Did you know her from back in the day, by the way?
Samantha, I sort of knew to say hi kind of thing, at auditions here and there. Yeah. Always seemed like a sweet lady.
Yeah. Did one show where she was involved with, but I don't really know her. But the Bob Room and those guys were we were doing sketch comedy, and they came along sort of the tail end, I guess, of like when we were doing sketch stuff.
Yeah, and that was a pretty solid lineup of was Sean Majumder in there?
He was. Yeah, he was. I don't know how. Yes. I mean, the answer is yes, but I'm not sure if he was like a permanent member.
No, but I remember it having like Jason. Jason was in it, and I think. Someone else who has had success it was
terrible. I blanked on his name. It was very Mike Beaver.
Mike Beaver, who went to the States, and I think whoever he married, I think she's done pretty well in the States too. But I can't remember names.
But Samantha Bee, I mean, who could have predicted? I mean, she's
it's great though.
Big success.
Yeah. And I was it's funny because she got on the Daily Show first, and I know Jason moved down with her, but he was sort of out of the spotlight, and then he was given a spot as a correspondent on Daily Show. Yeah. And at first I was like,
not sure.
I wasn't, because I wasn't feeling it, and then eventually I was like, okay, he's doing a good job, and it's sort of like he's found that character, that niche.
We did. Do you remember Sketchcom?
Okay, yeah,
at CBC.
Yeah.
So speaking of Masterclass, because out of Masterclass came the very short-lived sketch group Pale by Comparison. That was
And who was that? Was that
So I was in it
Yeah.
and with Gavin Crawford,
okay?
Jen Robertson, Christine Von Hagen, Matt
Oh,
Watts.
I forgot Christine. Yeah.
Yeah, and me. I don't think I'm. It's like if I forgot someone, I'm sorry, but no, it was short lived. So we did a sketch com, and we were opposite the Bob Room.
Okay.
And Jason did the whole Batman. Batman? Did you ever see that? Where
No.
Mr. Freeze. It was when he was doing a Schwarzenegger thing. It was quite funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's so
Going
funny
way
that
back.
class. Like there's so many names that I'm like, oh yeah, Christine was there. It's like, Jen Robertson, who's
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it Jeffrey? Oh no, just looked him
Oh
up.
Jeff as well. Yeah, I've run into him at a voice thing now and again.
Yeah, it's a good, solid actor.
Reminiscing.
I know, yeah, sorry, but
You don't
but
know
there were a
any
lot
of
of
these people.
but there were a lot of people like who went on to careers.
Yeah,
like-
Gavin especially.
yeah,
And it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Gaffigan comes in at number 3 on this list of the top 10
Mm-hmm.
earning comedians, I guess, for Forbes list. Not surprising. And in this case, I would say that most of the revenue, he does have some TV projects on the go, and it gets media work, but he tours a ton.
yeah.
And he sells large venues a ton, sometimes 2 shows on a night. Mm-hmm. He's
Just works his tail off.
works a lot, and then I know sometimes they sort of have set up sort of packages where it's sort of a VIP thing where you with meet and greet or signed CDs and stuff like that. But he's a touring maniac.
Interesting.
I was in the audience for one of his specials. I've been in the audience for 2 TV specials. Both of them were shot in Washington, D.C. One was a Patton Oswalt, and one was a Jim Gaffigan. And a few years before the one I saw, this is maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I used to have a friend in Alexandria, so basically,
Yeah, I know where
Washington.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
The DC Improv is really, really good. It's a great room, low ceilings, almost sort of a square room. So wherever you are, you've got decent sight lines, and they get some great acts. And somehow we managed to get tickets for Jim Gaffigan. I guess he was trying out new material or whatever.
Yeah.
He came in and did probably like an hour and 15 minutes of material I'd never heard, and just destroyed. It was just you're crying, your sides are hurting because it's
Yeah.
I think I don't like actually. I tend to avoid like comedy theater shows because it lacks that sort of immediacy and danger and intimacy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And just see Jim Gaffigan back in that environment and just tearing it up and just so close, and it feels more like an experience, a shared experience.
Was it in a huge venue? Like
No, this is in the DC Improv.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so it is just a room. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was just
That's
blew you
incredible.
away. And one of my favorite stand-ups, well, my favorite stand-up I would say is Norm Macdonald.
Mm-hmm.
And I would plan trips because he would do the DC Improv maybe once a year or once every like 8 months, and would plan trips around that where we'd see him on the Thursday night, and then we'd see him again on the Sunday night. It's such a great room for comedy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Number 2, not a huge surprise that he's high up on the list. Jerry Seinfeld, $41 million.
That's okay.
Comedians in Cars. He also does some pretty expensive tours. And number 1, and this is where I wonder how much of it is money that's from film work. If it's just he happens to be a stand-up comedian, but a lot of the money is from movie projects. But Kevin Hart, $59 million.
Well, he did.
It's got to be film because
It could be film. Well, he did that. What was that? Welcome to the Jungle. A Jumanji.
Jumanji.
I'm sure that was a big.
He does a lot of movies, and he does a lot of like popular movies, and I'm sure his quote, as they say in the industry, is, I would say he's probably, as a leading role, he probably asked for like 10 plus. So to get to 59 doesn't take that.
That's a couple of movies and an appearance here and there.
Film wise,
But I know. Merit wise, I guess it's like, that's a whole,
that's
a whole other conversation.
Well, then we talked about that, or it kind of brings it back to that. Popular isn't necessarily quality,
right?
Like the most popular is not always the most interesting or
no, it's just the widest appeal or something.
Yeah,
I mean, he seems like a funny guy.
Well, I always say, like, when people say they try and say, well, Nickelback's good, look at how many albums they've sold. I said, well, look at how many hamburgers McDonald's has sold. Scooby-Doo was #1 at the box office. The Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh, the movie. I was going to say, don't knock the TV show, man.
the Fast and the Furious movies are always near the top.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
You can't say that something is good because it's popular.
Because it made tons of money. Did you ever see? Just speaking of comedians Crashing. Did you watch that show on HBO?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot. I think you, me, and Lisa Lambert are the only 3 people who liked it.
Liked
somebody
it.
must have. Well, I mean, because it got canceled midway through the 3rd season, and it was
that was
I was disappointed.
That was disappointing. Yeah, I got his book. And
Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes' his book. Yeah, I think it's Sex God or something like that. But a lot of it's about sexuality and religion, and how he sort of was raised where sex was bad, and it's quite a fascinating journey from being this fairly, restricted Christian thing to opening his mind and meeting with kind of Indian gurus and experimenting with hallucinogenics and that type of thing. So it's a good read.
Well, one of the things I liked about the show too was that. That he was unashamedly Christian in a way, but it wasn't like, it was interesting to see how he walked that line, and it's like you never felt like you were being preached to, or he was came in with any kind of agenda. It was just like he just presented himself, and also what I loved about it, just it felt authentic. It's like, and anyone who's been in and around the comedy world, you can tell. Like, it's just like you feel like you're hanging out with these people and watching them do their their gigs and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. I like that.
I was really disappointed when it got canceled, and I couldn't really figure out why, because it's HBO. You think you can kind of. You don't necessarily have to hit it out of the park, and shows can have some time to percolate. But
I thought so. It was Judd Apatow was
he was one of the
behind it anyway.
And helped write as well. So if you like the show, then I guess now you have to go and read the book to see how
I will go see it
turned out. Movie wise, Forbes did a list too. I'll just read it because we don't really have to dig into the details. Will Smith, $35 million.
A movie stars, okay.
Yeah. Paul Rudd, that's a surprise. Well, I guess because he's gotten to the superhero universe now.
Oh yeah, right. That would explain it.
That would change, from doing kind of
I'm trying to think of the one he did with Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, it's a smaller movie. Yeah.
Wanderlust. Sorry.
Chris Evans, another superhero thing, $43 million. Adam Sandler tied with Bradley Cooper for $57 million each. Jackie Chan, $58 million, and I imagine that's Asian. A lot of that is Asian box office.
I was surprised to see him on that list, but I'm also kind of happy to see him on that list.
Yeah. I had an interview with him once, and he was a charming fellow.
He seems like a charming fellow.
Yeah.
He's a funny man. Talented guy.
Yeah. Another name on the list that I am not familiar with, and I imagine it's a Bollywood thing, Akshay Kumar.
Okay.
At $65 million. It's got to be Bollywood, no?
I guess so. I don't know his or her name.
Robert Downey Jr., $66 million, superhero. Chris Hemsworth, $76 million, superhero.
Yeah.
And number one, not unsurprising, Dwayne Johnson.
Speaking of someone who works hard.
Well, he does a lot of
all the time.
stuff.
Yeah.
TV show, he does that Ballers TV show.
Yeah.
Tons of different, all the Fast and the Furious, but now he's on a spin-off.
Yeah.
I did like that there was that feud with him and Vin Diesel, because...
Was there a feud?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that. Okay.
Well, because Vin Diesel is kind of like...
I feel like I'm on Dwayne Johnson's side, even though I have no idea what the feud
Vin
was
Diesel
about.
Is just like he's kind of a joke, and apparently, like, because he sort of, is that Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah.
I think he had this attitude, and I think Dwayne Johnson they butted heads, but it's definitely a Vin Diesel issue. I'm sure. He's that's one of those ones where you're like, really, that guy has to,
Yeah.
ugh. Like just
I don't know much about. I mean,
I don't get
he was
any
in
love for
He
him.
was okay in Saving Private Ryan. He had a small role in that. It was like, wasn't bad.
That should have been it.
But Dwayne Johnson was in the CFL, I believe.
Oh, really?
You can look it up. I think
I remember seeing the
CFL.
Sunshine Boy picture with the turtleneck and the gold chain.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see that?
No.
He was that maybe when he was in the CFL.
Could be. You feel like that's somebody who has worked really hard for everything he's achieved,
and he seems like sometimes you see people making a lot of money doing well, and you're like, really, that fucking asshole? Like what?
Yeah.
You get mad. It's almost maddening at seeing people who are dicks or not talented but raking in a huge amount of cash. But then there's like people who you feel are like decent human beings, and they seem to be, maybe in private he's like, get the fuck out of my trailer.
Yeah.
But
I'm the Rock.
yeah. But
he hides it well.
And even like it's not not just for like huge stars, but even like our little Toronto comedy community when like people are nice and they're successful. Like I think of Ken Hall, who's like the sweetest guy you could ever meet, and he's had like Umbrella Academy, and he's had the space show, and it's like it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
No, it's nice. Well, and the Baronesses, I would say.
Yeah, they're all lovely people.
They're all lovely people.
And then there's a new show coming out, Tall Boys, which is a multi-ethnic sketch comedy show. And one of the guys there, Franco, I've known him for quite a number of years from the sketch or improv comedy community.
Yes.
Super, super nice guy. And now they're getting a show. And I think the other people are pretty gentle, friendly guys.
No, that's good. I mean, I always found the comedy people in general, and massively generalizing, tend to be nice people. Tend to be generally. Well, I mean, there are worlds within worlds, I guess you could talk about, but I find there's a lot of self-effacing people, a lot of people who have a sense of humor, not only about the world, but about themselves.
Well, and Canadian in particular tends to be a breed of sort of like,
we're uncomfortable
making fun with ourselves.
Yeah, we're uncomfortable putting ourselves out there.
In the U.S., you have comedians like T.J. Miller, who
that's a shtick, though, right? Like
but from what I've read and from what you hear, there's a lot of like the reason he got written out of or kicked off Silicon Valley is just because he was just a dick.
Yeah, okay. Also on Crashing, T.J. Miller.
Yeah, that's true. And I think he's in some new program I saw, and I was like, really? Changing topics in a huge swivel.
Okay.
And I thought this was interesting because I watch a lot of, because I've gone down the Netflix pipe, and I'm always looking for shows that are critically well reviewed or I haven't seen before. There's a lot of British crime shows that I watch. Yeah. And when you're watching them, it's like watching crime shows here before the cell phone and before like DNA testing.
Right.
The CCTV or closed caption TV is so pervasive in England and Britain that there's cameras everywhere in every street and every corner. So half the time I'm like, you can just solve this crime because you had a camera. Like there's cameras everywhere.
Right. So Happy Valley,
Happy Valley.
My mom loves all this
Shetlands.
Yep.
And then a lot of the British ones. Oh, I saw him on camera come into the car. Like he came into town. This stuff. Like the CCTV plays a big role in solving cases there. Whereas in North American crime shows, it's just like, no, not at all. Like
not at all.
The only time it is, he went through this toll booth at midnight on September 7th.
Roll back the tape.
Yeah.
Movies, I feel like they. Anyway.
Yeah, movies sometimes, but yeah, a lot of it's just like, he was caught on camera at a toll, but there's not as much like just regular streets or public places cameras. In Toronto, they're going to double the number of CCTV cameras because of the spike in shootings. Province committed $3 million to help Toronto police more than double the number of cameras, and by that, it's not a lot. it's
Right.
they're going to go from 34 to 74 cameras in a city of 6 million plus people. So,
Right.
And I've seen them before, and they're pretty. It almost looks like it's got the white with the police, like it looks like part of a police car almost.
Right.
And you see them at some intersections downtown. But I'm sort of, a lot of people are like, oh, the surveillance culture and people are watching. But to a certain degree, I'm so like, I don't know if it's just
I'm okay with.
Yeah, that's maybe it's just because we're like.
I don't think about it very often, but I assume there are cameras everywhere. Like I kind of assume
More and more.
You walk into a bank
Certainly.
machine, it's like you're being recorded.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of places.
But yeah, I sort of, I guess there's two sides. But maybe I'm just too carefree where I'm like, if someone wants to have a camera set up, fine, and if it's going to help catch people doing bad things,
Well, I guess it's where are they setting up the cameras, and maybe it's like I don't know. I'm just
imagine
making
those-
something up, but it's like
I imagine the entertainment district or places where stuff has happened in the past, or
Keelan Finch. Are we talking about like is there a racial profiling aspect to it?
See, and that's where we're probably a little blind when it comes to that aspect because we're two kind of pasty white guys.
Yeah.
Of a certain age where
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, you jerk. But yeah, I imagine like any tool that the police use, it can be abused.
It can be abused, and it can.
There are
and
people who will probably
feel
abuse
targeted
it.
or feel. But I'm kind of. It's like in a general sense, it's like the increased airport screening in our lifetime that we've.
Yeah.
It means you have to get there earlier. It can be a little, it could be a hassle or whatever. But I'd much rather have that than the risk of something happening.
Than your plane being blown up.
Yeah.
Although to a certain degree, like I felt like the shoe thing was I felt a little too much.
Right.
And I don't like the. I don't like the scanners where you put your arms up and the thing goes around you.
No, I know.
I always ask for the manual pat down.
You and Dick Cavett. I read this
Oh,
whole thing
yeah?
with, yes, Dick Cavett. Same thing. He doesn't like the.
But then sometimes I'm like, fuck,
The raise.
I don't want to deal with this. But the last time I went through the airport usually I'll just go and get the manual pat down.
Yeah.
And then it's usually when I'm flying back from Florida. So it's basically a flight from Fort Myers to Toronto. And so it's like, really, someone.
Yeah.
But
I know.
I was
They're everywhere.
time wise. I was like, they have to get the guy to come and scan you or put his hands in. And so I was like, okay, this time I'm just going to go through the scatter. So I went in there, put your arms up, it did the scan, and then it showed some kind of like different color around my pants. So it was like it put them on alert or whatever. And I was like, the one time I don't ask for a manual pat down, and then they end up giving me one, like a thorough one, because they saw some little something on the screen,
right?
Some anomaly. And then even worse though, they did the little swabbing.
Oh
of
yeah,
my
the swab
hands,
thing, yeah.
And it beeped for something, like it went positive. So they were going through my luggage, like every little thing, swabbing everything in my luggage. It was like a major scene. But it ended up being like, okay, sir, you can go on your way. And I was like,
there's nothing to find.
What the fuck happened? Like, and I'm trying to think, like, what did I handle earlier that day? Like, was it some food item or like what would have done the wrist? And
no,
but then
I don't know what you're talking. Yeah,
I can't figure out because the two things I can't figure out like what the scanner would have seen like the on my pants because I wasn't wearing any, nothing crazy metallic or anything.
Gum, yeah.
But it was such a. It was so stupid because normally I just avoid the scatter altogether.
Yeah.
I get the manual pat down, and had I done that, everything would have been fine. Although maybe the thing would have beeped on the hand. But
have you ever gone through Mexico City?
No.
And I'm sure this is not the case anymore. It's an interesting airport. So the first time I flew in there, I was, like trying to figure out where to go. And then some officials like, come over here. They waved me over, and there's a button, and you push this button, and if it comes up green, they say, okay, off you go. If it comes up red, they search your bag.
So it's kind of a randomizer.
It's a randomizer.
That's interesting.
And now this is going back. This is like going back to the 90s. But I've talked to other people like, yeah. No, that happened to me too.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I just think, oh, what a quaint different era that was. Just like press the randomizer.
Press the random button, and you'll get searched.
But I felt like it's like, why me? Why did you take? Because I think I was milling. I was looking. I wasn't walking with purpose or something.
But I would say like, if it was a real randomly generated thing where you just press it and whoever gets the red gets selected.
Yeah,
it's almost better because sometimes I'll walk through the line, especially when there's no line. They have nothing to do. They say, okay, we're gonna get you. Let me swab your hand,
Right.
while you're waiting in line to go through this, like the luggage stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm always wondering, like, okay, why me?
Why me?
Like, maybe
I know.
I'm a drug guy, or and then I see other people, I'm like, okay, why did they think they picked them? And so,
I think it's random.
well, I know I think it is pretty random, but I wonder if it's like by the numbers or if it's just sort of like a hunch. But with that button, it would have made it like that much. Just kind of, it would have felt more random and been like, okay, I guess it's my turn's up.
Yeah, I assume it's like, every X number of people you have to do certain tests and stuff.
Yeah.
I went through that we got pulled over, my dad and I driving to the States, and it was like, whatever. We were so we got pulled aside and had to wait while they searched the car and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I asked the guy, and it was like, just out of curiosity, like, why were we selected? And he's like, I don't have to tell you.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okay, no, that's fine. I
Yeah,
was just
just
curious. I was
curious.
curious. And then he said, it's random. I think we just got, it was our turn. We just got,
Yeah.
we were the lucky ones.
I had that experience, but it wasn't.
And then they found the keys of cocaine.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was the problem.
I've watched Border
Like,
Patrol.
Dad?
I know Border
Yeah.
Patrol. I know what happens to those things.
I know my rights.
I was living in Calgary for 2 years, and then I moved back to Toronto. Most of my stuff was coming in a moving van later, but it was February, and I was driving back across, and it's much quicker and easier, especially in the winter, to go through the States than up and around the north through the lakes and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had my car, my little Yaris, tiny car, loaded with suitcases and stuff. And I was driving through the border just south of where, like in Saskatchewan, North Dakota, so kind of sleepy little depot. And they took me aside and then really grilled me, like, have you ever done drugs? Why are you leaving? Do you have like a whole litany of things? And I'm sweating it out. And they're definitely going through the car. And in this case, I was a little bit nervous because I was not quite truthful.
Okay.
I was going back to Toronto, but a friend I had in Washington, who usually where I went for visit, her dad was sick with cancer, and she was coming up to Toronto, and so I was going to go for a couple of weeks to sit. She had like 4 dogs.
Yeah.
So I was going to Alexandria, Virginia, and was going to go there before coming back to Toronto just to look after these dogs.
Okay, but you didn't tell them.
I didn't tell them this, and this is pre like smartphones, or just on the cusp of it. So I had like a MapQuest printed map in my with the directions to Alexandria, Virginia,
Right.
in my
Okay.
like glove compartment.
Yeah.
So I'm really sweating that if they pull that map out, I'm like,
What's this?
Okay, they're
Yeah.
gonna send me back, and I'm gonna have to go way up like another extra day or
Yeah.
two, and just sort of sweating it out completely. And thankfully they didn't find it, and I went on my way.
Okay.
And then I almost ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere, but that's a whole other story. It was,
Oh, gosh.
It was a crazy trip, and it's. I imagine the summer would be kind of nice, but it was not good circumstances. I was like,
No, and it's always this little
gig ended. I'm driving alone, like in
Yeah.
the winter in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Many things.
It's
could
not the fun road
go
trip.
sideways.
Yeah, if it was like going to something good, like I was like coming home from a gig that had ended, and
Yeah.
coming back to I love Toronto, but it's just sort of a all around kind of depressing situation.
And maybe they picked up. Who knows? Like if you were, it's like being slightly shifty about your plans, even though you weren't really
Yeah, they
doing
may
anything
have-
wrong.
they may have sensed
They
it,
picked
yeah.
up on something. It's like, wait a minute,
This guy is not what he seems.
he's not. Get out the
I do
swab
watch
his
that.
hand.
I do watch that border. Have you watched that show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty compelling.
It's compelling. And it can be a little addictive. You're just like, oh yeah, I guess nothing's else on. It's Judge Judy or Border Patrol
Yeah.
this time of day.
It was the people with the meat. It was like, what made you think you could get
Meat
away
is a
with
big one,
bringing tons of like cured meats and stuff,
or weird vegetables or stuff with bugs in it. And,
yeah.
But the other one is where people bring stuff that like really expensive stuff and say, oh yeah, it's worth like $500 or whatever, and then they look it up.
yeah.
But it's also a good show because it kind of plays sometimes on your racism, I guess, where you're like,
Okay.
oh yeah, this person's definitely guilty, and then turns out no, they're
totally
I'm
fine.
judging this person just based on what they look like, whether it's clothes or race or whatever.
Okay.
I've got some bigotry in me, and I should check myself.
Unconscious bias or something.
not good.
But an interesting show.
Yeah. So,
but where did
can
that
we
start?
find you? I don't know. Where can we find you on social media?
Facebook. After all that talk of like,
are you on anything else?
I am. I'm on Twitter, sort of, for a project for Waiting for Ishtar, the documentary I made with my
Waiting
friend John
for Ishtar.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the Twitter address?
I believe it is. Is it? I think it's at Waiting for Ishtar, something like that. I'll have to look it up. I wasn't prepared for this question.
Come on, John. We're running out of time here. You got to get the information out.
I know. I tend to go like project by project. I'm not good at the kind of like individual self-promotion.
No, I hear it sort of feels like
you can
an obligation, basically.
Yeah. I just joined Instagram, but really only to do research on a project that I was working on.
Okay.
So let me see. Yeah.
Is it at Ishtar?
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it really quickly. I didn't know there's going to be a test.
I know. I should have prepared you for this.
Let's see.
There's always a test.
Ishtar. Here. Come on. Do it.
John Mitchell, everybody. He's looking.
Oh, is that it? Oh, okay.
Oh, it's almost the end.
Oh, okay.
For counting down. It's all right.
Yeah.
I can play silly things until we find it.
Twitter. Let's find this.
I don't have like a...
But also, like, you know, I check Twitter once every 2 months. Oh yeah, at Waiting.
At Waiting
for the number 4.
4, okay.
Ishtar. Yeah.
Okay, and that's on Twitter. So
that's
you
on
can
Twitter.
find out the details of all of that project and their tweets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you go online. All right. Well, we are out of here. Thanks for stopping by, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Josh. It was good times.
Good times.
Turn on the lights, open the shades.
The show's over, but the conversation continues. On Twitter at Josh Holiday. On the web at joshholidaylive.com. And hear missed episodes on your favorite podcatcher. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.